Today's video is definitely not me putting off 151 for another day. No, definitely not that. What's good? Welcome to the channel. Today we are taking a look at two unexpected products I completely forgot about. The Meowskarada and Quaquaval Deluxe Battle Deck. I am a sucker for these products. I was out shopping, did not even consider these on my radar. And lo and behold, we came across both of them. Did I fall for the trap? Did I pick them both? Well, we're here on the video. So today, we're going to take a look at both 2 for 1. Give my thoughts, give some upgrades, and let you know what I think. So we're going to kick it off first with Meowscarada. So did you fall for the meme in June for NAIC? Everybody touting this as a super secret crack deck. I sure as hell did. We get the Meowscarada, we get the Radiant Alakazam. I believe it's what, 3 foil cards. I assume 2 EXs, a metallic coin, a deck box, nice. Bet you it doesn't carry sleeves, but whatever. A play mat, which is always nice for beginners, and it's a level 2 play guide. So this is the deck list. We're gonna pop that on screen right there. We're gonna rip into it, so we're not gonna spend too long looking at it. And of course, it's a ready-to-play 60-card deck out of the box. I think these products will be great for learning the game. How competitive they are, if you were to smash 2 of them up, is yet to be seen. So let's try to get into these. Yeah, no, now with this product, I think I have 6, 7 Meowskarada EX. I don't know, I have a bit of a problem. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Okay, that might be my go-to coin going forward. So we have our damage counters. Highly recommend just picking up a couple D6s, you know, dices 1 through 6. Easier to mark. These are good for kids, so I'm gonna toss those to the side. We have the deck box that will hold the cards until you sleeve them. So it has our strategy guide here. It just mentions some things with the bouquet ability and Radiant Alakazam and bossing up what we want to finish and making sure that we use the cotton lift ability to search for energy when we need it. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. It's not too bad. Let's take a look at the mat. I'm always hoping there's like a Meowscarada or something on it. Okay, it's pretty decent. So it's a half of a game board. So we get the grass half, and then it shows you what you need to do. Very, very nice. And then, of course, there's a nice back on it. Big fan. We'll throw those in the pile. Ta-da. Toss in the corner. Our hollows right there. We're going to get those out of here. There's always so much plastic. Is this a sponsored video? No. So this will be my honest thoughts and opinions. I mean, it'll always be like that. Code will put to the side. Actually, yeah. Code to the side. There we go. So let's take a quick look. Before we dive into the box, let's take a look. Meowskarada. Very pretty card. I feel like that's a different hollow pattern, but I'd have to break out the original to check. But bouquet magic. You may discard a basic grass energy from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you can put 3 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon. For 2 colorless energy, you do 100 plus 120 more if there's additional damage counters on that Pokemon. With Radiant Alakazam, so the basic of the strategy is we put something damage on the bench, use Radiant Alakazam to pull at least one of those damage counters back to the active, and then we hit it with Scratching Nails for 220 plus the number of damage counters. So that's not too bad. That's pretty straightforward. Let's take a look. I'm going to take a quick look here of the 60 cards. I believe there's, what, 13 grass energy right out of the box. Okay, cool. And then now let's jump right in. So they've got it nice and sorted, sort of. So they're playing 4 of the 60 hit points Sprigatito. We'll save our criticisms for the end. 4 Professor's Research. 4 Youngster, which lets you shuffle your hand and draw 5. 4 Ultra Ball. This is a very nice have. Discard 2 cards and lets you search for any Pokemon. Floragato. Nice. 3 Nest Ball. Weird they didn't give us a 4th one, but okay. 2 Dunsparce. 2 Boss. Always nice. 2 Jock. I'm a big fan of this in Charizard. Not quite sure how I feel about it here, but it's still pretty good. Energy Retrieval. Grab 2 basic energy from the discard pile. Great Ball at the top 7. Gapejaw Bog. I feel like this is just the stadium placeholder. Whenever a player puts a basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. I see the obvious synergy. Eldegoss, so Cotton Lift. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into your hand. Okay, we're not going to be attacking with this, so it's mostly here for that ability. And then there's nothing special with the Gossifleur. Pretty card, though. 2 Clara. I do have some strong opinions with this card. I love this card, actually. 2 Escape Rope. Now, these have been a pain in the behind to find. Each player switches their active. Your opponent switches first, then you switch. So this is the deck. Well, to be honest, this deck needs a lot of work. I'm going to pause for a second. We're going to lay it out. And we are back. So I've got everything all laid out. This is pretty much the 60 that you get out of the box. You get the 13 energy and then everything listed here. What do I think of the product out of the box? It's definitely a builder. It's a level 2 product. So we've been spoiled with the Palkias, the Mews, you name it. There's a Miraidon one coming in November, which you know I'm going to touch on. But do I think you should buy this? Are you a Meowskarada fan? Do you want to try something a little different? Are you a believer in the card? When you see the card, do you get excited or do you think they're going to do something more for it? Then I would say yes. Because there's a few things here, it adds to your staple collection, it could very well get better. Do I think you need to buy 2 copies of this? God, no. No. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some upgrades. So the out-of-the-box strategy. So we have 4 Sprigatitos. We're going to naturally evolve up to Floragatos. This deck does not play rare candy. And then we're ultimately going to work off of Meowskarada. So it's a slower deck. It's a slower pace. It teaches you the fundamentals of the game. Eldegoss is going to show you what a utility Pokemon can do, searching out energy for you. That's all it really does. It never attacks unless you are screwed. Dunsparce is kind of like, what do I do if I lost the coin flip and go second? And Alakazam is your main combo piece. So your Alakazam, your Meowskaradas are definitely the key holdovers. The Gapejaw Bog, while you can read the card for its text, I think it's the most cuttable stadium. We'll find something better, trust me. Professor's Research does not really work in a stage 2 deck. It'll be nice in other decks, so definitely don't throw it away. Keep it in the background. Youngster is a beginner-friendly card. There's better cards. They might be a little bit pricier, but again, we're going to show you some upgrades. Boss's Orders, love this card. Keep it. Jacques, potential is there. Again, we'll talk about it in the upgrades. I think it's a nice builder. It's going to get better when the next rotation hits, but that's, again, my take. Clara, absolutely freaking love this card. Hold on to it while you can. Putting cards into your hand rather than the deck, great. 4 Ultra Ball, great. Nest Ball, we're almost there, so we got 3. Great Ball's a mid card. It just throw in there to kind of show you how deck building goes. 2 Retrievals, love those. We're going to keep those. Escape Rope, high commodity cards. So now we are going to jump over to what I'm going to put on the screen. Cue the magic of video editing. So we're going to take a look at this deck list. So you're probably thinking, Brandon, what the hell is this pile? And don't worry, I get that a lot. But I'm going to explain all my choices. So I wanted to keep this budget friendly. It would either be less than or equal to the cost I paid for the deck. So I paid about $30 for the deck Canadian. Walmart's a little overpriced. That's why we want to keep it as cheap as possible. What are some of my first changes? First off the bat, we have to change the Sprigatito. So if they give us 60s out of the box, there's a handful of 70s. Pick which one you think is the prettiest. As long as you're playing a 70 hit point Sprigatito, you can't go wrong. We're only playing one of the Floragato. Again, doesn't really matter. We just want one for, you know, worst case scenario. Are, however, shelling out about $2 more for a 3rd Meowskarada EX. 2 is not enough if it's going to be our main attacker. 4 is overkill. If you want the 4th one, cut the Floragato, put the Meowskarada. We are picking up 1 copy of Manaphy. We have too many squishy Pokemon under 100 hit points. Manaphy at least gives us a chance against Radiant Greninja. You really don't want to just see somebody playing that card and go, oh, well, I guess I'm screwed. We are playing 1 copy of Cleffa from Obsidian Flames. So this is the first peculiar choice that you're going to ask me about. Why are we playing this? It only has 30 health. Well, it has free retreat, which is very important for this. So if they return a knockout and we need a means of putting something in the active to start our turn, we have Cleffa. It also is a good going second on your first turn Pokemon. So for no energy, you may draw until you have 7 cards in hand. So we can play down our hand, we can play out as much as we can, and then we can draw up until we have 7. If your opponent has to play Iona, we're still finishing the turn with 6 cards. It's a win-win. Don't worry about the 30 hit points. It doesn't survive the turn. Let the Cramorant have it. We're not worried about it. There's no 3 prizers, so if they want to chase the 1 and then we only have 2 prizers in the rest of the game, so be it. We are playing 1 copy of the brand new Lunatone. So this one is very interesting. We're going to get to the rest of the list. But basically it says if you have Solrock in play, so we are playing 1 copy of the Solrock. If you have Solrock in play, prevent all effects of stadium cards done to your Pokemon in play. So I'm going to explain this one right quick. So we have to bring up the Lunatone, the Solrock, and our stadium of choice at a 2 of. Path of the Peak. So right now Meowskarada does not have a particular stadium it wants. It just has a couple that it would like to see from time to time. So we're going to rely on our opponents playing those ones, i.e. the Artisans, the Messagosas, you name it. And then we're also going to better integrate to play against the best stadium in the card game. Path to the Peak. So Path to the Peak shuts off all abilities of Pokemon with a rule box. So this shuts off Alakazam, this shuts off Meowscarada. Our whole kind of deck is screwed at this point. By having those two rocks in play, we never once fret over Path to the Peak, and we can also take advantage of Path to the Peak. Giratina is the best deck in format. It wants to play Path to the Peak. It's going to slap them down on us. We're not really playing any abilities aside from those two that get shut off. So if we know when to time it, we can play the rocks when we anticipate one coming and make them have to deal with it. We're also playing Manaphy. So Path to the Peak allows us some counterplay. It allows us to slow down those insane Gardevoir decks because we're not keeping up with those. I'm sorry, we're not. We're not keeping up with Mew. They're too damn fast. Put your Drapion Spiritombs, doesn't matter. You really want to double tech for them, put a Spiritomb in as well. Never hurts. But ultimately, we're trying to slow down the game for us to set up because we cannot bring our power level up. We have to bring their power level down. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but we're going to keep chugging along. We're playing one copy of Celebrations Mew. This is also one of those Pokemon we can end our turn with in the active spot because it has an ability that says, once during your turn, look at the top 6 cards of your deck. If you find an item card, reveal it, put it into your hand. Nest Balls, Ultra Balls, Rare Candies, Pokégears, Switches. There's a handful of item cards in this deck that if Mew can dig a little deeper and grab, we don't mind. It is also the lovely sacrifice that we don't mind losing in the early stages. Whether it's Cleffa, whether it's Mew, they're both great. Then we are playing 2-2 Bibarel. So I think this is one of the best engines going forward. I think that you should really just acquaint yourself with it. So Iono is another card, which we'll talk about in a second. You want to protect yourself from Roxanne or Hand Disruption. Bibarel's onboard draw. They have to go out of their way to deal with it. And because Meowscarada is so big, if they have to deal with Bibarel, they're not dealing with the cat. And if they're dealing with the cat, they're not dealing with Bibarel. So constantly topping up your hand and drawing more cards. What's not to like, and it's super budget friendly. So everything I've shown you so far is super budget friendly, pretty straightforward. One of those cards that'll allow you to improve with the game is Medicham V. So I included it here. It might be above early skill level or comfort, or you don't see the value in it. But Yoga Loop is a very interesting card. So Medicham reads, put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. If you knock out a Pokemon this way, take a second turn. So as you get more comfortable with the deck, using Radiant Alakazam, using Bouquet Magic, whatnot, you can time your Medicham V to allow you to take consecutive turns and establish your board. So Pokemon is not a game where we worry about hand advantage or card advantage or whatnot. We are looking for turn advantage, because you used each turn to set up your board. So if you can sneak an extra turn or 2 ahead, that's why some people say they start slow. They fall a turn behind, etc. and so on, whatever analogy people like to use. You want to create a turn advantage. That's what Medicham does better than almost any other card, is it lets you take a second turn. You get 2 turns in a row to play your cards, and you can usually build a sizable lead, or you can develop a stranglehold on the game. So once you know how to use that card, I think it's great. We're playing 1 Retrieval, 1 Escape Rope, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, max consistency counts. We're not playing VIP Pass. They're not really budget friendly. I think they're like $3 Canadian the last time I looked. 4 Rare Candy. So this did not come in the deck. This is why I said it's better to just start picking up cheap cards as we go. Rare Candy lets us go from Sprigatito right up to Meowskarada with no Floragato in between. It's also Mew searchable. We can't really find that in a product right now. So I figured it's just better to start buying the singles. They're very budget friendly. They're like 20-30 cents. We're playing max counts because we want to see them the most. 2 Pokégear, let you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a supporter, reveal, put it into your hand. Mew can search Pokégear. Pokégear can search a supporter. So by extension, we're thinning more cards out of our deck, seeing more cards playing that game. Very, very strong. 1 Switch, 1 Escape Rope, because sometimes Cleffa ends up in the prizes or gets knocked out early and we still want to be able to move things around. Sometimes they want to offer us up something very, very damaged, and we just want that out of the way so then we can bouquet snipe it. And then, of course, we're down to our supporters. 3 boss. We need to be very selective with our targets. Being able to pick what we're going to knock out, huge in this type of deck. 4 Iono. So this one here, I recommend picking up. I don't really care what the price is on this one. I recommend, this is probably where we're putting most of our budget. It might be like $8. Don't worry, Pokemon's a cheap game. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it at the bottom of their deck. Then each player draws 1 card for each of their remaining prize cards. So early game, it's a shuffle, tuck resources, draw 6. Late game, we can mess them up, draw, put 1 or 2 cards left in their hand. We play Bibarel, so Iono doesn't hurt us as much as long as it's set up. So I do love that card. I think it's the best supporter in the game right now. 2 Clara, we kept those. They came right out of the box. We want the cards in our hand, which is why I recommend this over Super Rod. Choose one or both. Put 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, 2 basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. When we have to respond with Meowscarada, sometimes we have the candy in hand. Clara, Spriggy, Meow, 2 cats, rare candy, evolve, keep going, and then we can bouquet magic 1 or 2 of them, or we can bouquet magic 1 and then attach the other one. So Clara gives us more immediate resource uses. Professor's Research, this is when the shit hits the fan kind of moment. Discard your hand, draw 7. Stage 2 decks don't like discarding their hand. That's why we're not doing that so often. The last card I recommend picking up is like 30-40 cents. It'll be here for another year. Double Turbo Energy. So this counts as 2 energy when it's attached, but the Pokemon using this card do 20 less damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Alright, so Meowscarada attacks for 2. We've established that. Sometimes we can't patiently wait to attach 2 energy. There's other cards in the game to accelerate, but they're kind of clunky. So this one here, we go single attachment, we're attacking. Are we only doing 200 instead of 220? That's fine. We got Radiant Alakazam, we've got Bouquet Magic. We'll figure it out as the game goes on. That's why we played the extra boss. We're playing a ton of boss so we can pick our targets and make sure our hits are strategic. We have to use surgical precision to get us there. If you've stuck around until the end of this one, just know I'm going to break it off. We're going to do Quaquaval next. Part 2, you know what it is. First part, we covered Meowscarada. I ramble a lot. I like to talk. I like to explain my thoughts. So we broke it off into 2 parts. What are we looking at today? We got League Battle Deck, Quaquaval EX. Never thought I'd see this product. Not really sure what they were thinking, but we're here for it anyway. Radiant Greninja, probably the best card in the deck. So we're going to rip this bad boy open. We're going to give you some thoughts, some budget upgrades. I love these products. I love these videos. Never get enough of them. Is it sponsored? No. So you're going to get my honest opinions. Then again, I'm always going to give you my honest opinion, sponsored or not. So jokes aside, let's crack into her. So we're getting 3 foil cards out of the box. Quaquaval EX. Let's take a quick look. So I covered it in a previous video. I'll drop that in the description below because the deck hasn't changed much. Quaquaval EX, 320 hit points. For 1 energy, does 60 damage, and both players will switch their Pokemon with one of their bench. So it's an escape rope that does 60 damage. Spiral Shot for a water and a colorless does 230. Put 2 energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. It's a nice reset. We'll show some strategies and combos that are not necessarily present in the deck to start. And of course, the cover boy of the deck. Probably the main reason to pick up the deck if you don't already have it, or if you're slightly a fan of Quaquaval. Radiant Greninja. Best Radiant Pokemon. Discard an energy card from your hands, draw 2 cards. Moonlight Shuriken, water, colorless. Discard 2 energy. This Pokemon, this attack does 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. I love this card. I probably have about 6 or 7 copies of it now. So when I saw the opportunity to pick this up and talk about a League Battle deck, it was a win-win. So I am going to give away this code. Be sure to drop a comment on the video. And in about 3 or 4 days after the video's gone up, I'm going to randomly pick somebody and we're going to issue the code and then we'll hand her out on Twitter. So with that said, let's take a look what's in the box. So we got our coin. Still pretty freaking biased to the Meowscarada one, but again, there's 12 water energy out of the box. So we're going to toss those up there. 4 70 hit point Quaxley. Okay, beautiful. B-E-A, beautiful. That's what we like to see. We get 4 Nest Ball. Incredible. We're going to be all over the place today. We're getting 3 Quaxley. Cool. Or Quaxwell. Now this is where my head starts to scratch. Because we just got the Chien-Pao deck. We're getting 3 60 hit point Frigibacks. Didn't we just get Chien-Pao for this? 3 Professor's Research. 3 Ultra Ball. Super confused at this point. And apparently 2 Arctibax and 2 Baxcalibur. 2 Indeedee. So Baxcalibur is cool because it lets you attach as many water energy from your hand to your Pokemon as any way you like. So I can see some sort of synergies, but I really don't know what they were trying to accomplish by just throwing random lines in. Chien-Pao is already super accessible. Baxcalibur is also pretty good. 2 Jacques. I'm playing it a lot in my Charizard. I do think it's going to get better post-rotation. 2 Youngster. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 5. 2 Retrieval. I get it. You know, we're going to be Radiant Greninja-ing, so you want to put energy back into your hand. 2 Energy Search. So search your deck for an energy card. So a nice item to do that. 2 rare candy. I think this is the first deck I've ever seen rare candy. So if you're looking for an excuse to buy these and you bought the Meowskarada, rare candy might be your biggest reason. But I think there's other ways going about it. 1 Bruxish. Search your deck for 3 basic energy, reveal them, put them into your hand. That's just bad. Oh, my goodness. My goodness gracious. Okay, so we're getting 3 copies of Irida, one of the top 5 supporters in Standard right now. Where do we want to put these bad boys? Hands down, Irida is one of the best supporters in the game, and it makes this whole deck function. Search for a water Pokemon and an item card, reveal them, put them into your hand. 2 Lake Acuity, just a stadium card for stadium's sakes. 2 escape ropes, and 1 Clara. So I intentionally laid the deck out like a pile because right now it is a pile. So my initial thoughts. Similarly to the Meowskarada deck, I'm going to give this deck about, well, I gave Meowskarada 6.5, spoilers. I think this is maybe a 5.5. Maybe its saving grace is from the Irida, the Radiant Greninja, and the rare candies. Those are probably the strongest selling points of the deck. Don't buy 2 of these and smash them together. You're better off taking some budget upgrades and building off of it that way. Pick your 1 copy, get your skeleton, and then either hit up your local game store, hit up eBay, or whatever card shop you like to use. We are going to cut away with the power of editing. We're keeping the Quaxley. It's a 70 hit point one. As long as you're going 70 hit points, you can't go wrong. We are going with 1 Quaxwell, so we've immediately cut 2 cards. Then we are upping our EX count from 2 to 3. So when I looked into it, it was about $1.50 or $2 Canadian, so they're dirt cheap. So we're already off to a good start. Then we are also looking into the Scarlet and Violet set. So the first one back in March. And we're going to scoop up 2 of the Quaquaval non-EX from that set. It has the ability Energy Carnival. Once during your turn, you can attach any basic energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So that right there makes a lot more sense. And then, I mean, I assume the no-brainer, I was already shit-talking it. Baxcalibur, Arctibax, Frigibax, all got cut. They didn't make sense. They're pieces. If you're going to build Chien-Pao, save that one. Just don't keep those in this deck. It doesn't make sense. You're making your deck unnecessarily complicated. We're going to use those spaces. We're going to put in 2 Bibarel. I am a Bibarel stan. Propaganda strong. What can I say? I like drawing until I have 5 in my hand. That's the big thing. Bidoof has a bench barrier ability, and Bibarel lets you draw until you have 5. Then we are going to get interesting. We're keeping the Radiant Greninja, of course, because it's a phenomenal attack and lets us take out small 1-prizers. This is where we start to differ from the list out of the box. We cut the Indeedee and we cut the Bruxish. And instead, we're going to go for a more disruptive route. So we are playing the Mimikyu from Paldea Evolved. So there's a lot of cards coming out of Paldea Evolved. It has the ability Safeguard. Prevent all damage to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's EX and V Pokemon. Right there, it's a little annoying wall. So some Charizard decks don't even have a way to answer this. And if they do, it's a very, very small Pokemon. So this one here could be annoying. You throw it in harm's way with the exciting dance on the Quaquaval, so the first attack where we do our switch after we attack. And then we throw it up there and say, can you boss his orders around it? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. I do like that. And then we're playing 2 copies of Klefki. This shuts down a lot of decks right off the bat. It has the Mischievous Lock ability, which will get better post-rotation. So we're already buying in now. As long as this is in the active, basic Pokemon in play have no abilities except for this ability. It's Radiant Greninja, Bidoof, you name it. That's why we're not playing Manaphy, is that Klefki shuts them off. So you bench Manaphy and put Klefki in the active, or they boss up the Klefki, then they can Manaphy. It's like you give them a free canceling clone. So it's not worth it. But we're going to play the hit and run game with Quaquaval. So we do the 60 and then we run away and then we put up Klefki, and sometimes it just wins us the game because those Lost Box decks that rely on Comfeys, Radiant Greninjas, even Manaphy for protection, very, very annoying. We are playing 8 water energy, so we did cut down from the 12. We are going to take 2 of those free spots and give us 2 Jet Energy. So Jet Energy also came out in Paldea Evolved. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy. When you attach this card from your hand, move the benched Pokemon to the active spot. So it's a switch card. It is an energy attachment. It's a 2-for-1. I love this card. I thought about putting in more, but I couldn't justify it. And then we have to jump in. So we're going to get the stadiums right out of the way. So we cut the Lake Acuity. We're playing 3 Path to the Peak. So like the Meowscarada deck, Path to the Peak is the best stadium in the game, hands down. This deck will not be able to keep up with the sheer power of other decks, so we need to bring them down to our level. Path to the Peak takes away Pokemon's abilities that have a rule box. Does this shut off Radiant Greninja? Yeah, but we're also playing Bibarel, so we're not overly concerned. Just know when to time it, and if they really need their abilities, they will forcefully bump it. So just use your concealed cards before you slap down your next path. So we're playing 3 of those. We are playing 2 Vitality Bands. So these are super cheap and super useful. So the attack of the Pokemon this card is attached to does 10 more damage. So know what you're thinking. Brandon, 10 more damage is a very small number. Correct. But I've made a very strong emphasis on Pokemon like Quaxly and Sprigatito and Klefki and everybody else being 70 hit points. The reason is we're trying to avoid some Sableye math. Lost Mine does 12, so 6/6. So by putting it at 7, you're just outside that range. But by being out of that range, you're also out of Exciting Dance's range. So Vitality Band on Quaquaval EX brings Exciting Dance up to 70. That is the most relevant number. There's no secondary conditions, there's no specific typings, there's none of that. It just hits 70 clean off the bat. We're playing 4 Irida. We're going to pick up an extra one. It's pretty cheap now. It's been printed in Palkia. This. Very easy to get your hands on. So search for an item card and a water Pokemon. Would you look at that? Everybody outside of the Bidoof line is a water Pokemon. Not too hard. Rare candies, energies, retrievals, searches, you name it. They're easy to find. And then we're going to play 2 bosses orders. We don't necessarily need 3 in this deck. We're not as particular. We're just going to hit whatever they put in front of us, and we're going to stall. We're going to slow them down. We're going to be a little grindy. Unless they're hitting us for weakness. 320 is a very hard number to hit over. We're playing 1 copy of Cheryl to heal our Pokemon if they have any damage on them. If there's any energy attached, we just discard them. That's fine. We'll just be very particular. So when Spiral Shot attacks, it puts the energy back into our hand. So it actually ignores the effect of discarding energy. So that's pretty good there. And then we're playing 3 Iono. So I mentioned it before, but Iono is the best supporter in the game. It's not even close. Each player shuffles their hand, puts it at the bottom of their deck, and then draws a card for each prize card they have remaining. Early game, it's a shuffle draw 6. Late game, it's a put them down to 2 or 3 cards or 1 card. And then Bibarel tops us up. They don't have one. So that's always good. And then we play 1 copy of Clara. So I'm a big Clara stan until this card rotates. This is the type of deck that does not want to put cards back into the deck. If you're going to get anything, be it energy or Pokemon, you want to see them in your hand for immediate use. So choose both effects most times. Grab 2 Pokemon, 2 energy, put them into your hand. Ta-da! And that's our supporter line. We're playing a Palpad, so if any of those counts look small, it's because we're going to use Palpad to recycle them. 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball. Nest Ball to grab our basics, Ultra Ball to grab anything in the deck. We're just going max consistency because we want to see the cards. We are running 2 Level Ball. They rotate in the next rotation, but it lets you search for a Pokemon with 90 hit points or less. So it's just extra means of grabbing Quaxly or Bidoofs. 3 Rare Candy. Irida lets us search them. We are playing 3 Rare Candy because typically it'll be hard to take down our Quaquaval EX. We don't need the 4th one. If you want the 4th one, I'm going to say cut the energy search I'm about to recommend to search for an energy. 2 Escape Ropes, because with the Jet Energy and the Escape Ropes, we like to be able to move our Pokemon around and force them to move stuff around. Maybe something they don't want to hit. Yeah, so some things to keep in mind. This deck, out of the box, needs some work. This deck that I've presented probably still needs some work. We are trying to bring the power down. We're not trying to bring us up to the room. We're trying to bring the room down to us. Path to the Peak in Iono is sometimes enough to get you there. Path stall, you name it. And even an Exciting Dance or 2 to push them out of the way. That's all we need. If you run into lightning decks, i.e. Miraidon in November, I don't know what to tell you. But you're a Quaquaval stan because you stuck around until the end. So I just want to say thank you. We are going to cover Miraidon down the line. We are going to get to 151 at some point. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? I'm literally giving away an Elite Trainer box on September 20th over on Twitter. And we need to get to 2,000 and I will double it. So subscribe to the channel. Go enter the giveaway on Twitter. Help me give away a second ETB. So until next time, guys, take care.